This is Newsline. I am Michael Chigani. Tonight, two very special guests, Mr. Henry Tang and Mrs. Lisa Tang. Thank you both for being on this show. Now, I know, Lisa Tang, you didn't really want to come on this show, and I was able to persuade you to come, and I want to thank you for being on this show. This is a very important show because the election for the chief executive is going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. And there are a lot of things happening out there, and we don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks. Because they say a week is a long time in politics. I think 2 weeks is going to be a very, very long time in politics. Let's hope there's nothing more that comes out that will hurt the well-interest of Hong Kong. Now, I'm going to talk to you not about the political issues of this election, but about other things that have been swirling around that have, in fact, taken the focus away from the election, which I think many people feel is not the right thing to do. Lisa Tang, I want to come to you first. The things that have been swirling around is, your issues with your husband, Mr. Henry Tang, and whether he has had an extramarital affair, whether he's got an illegitimate child. I won't go into that. I know you're sick and tired of answering those questions. But I want to ask you this, as a woman and as a wife, when you found out, and as a human being, when you found out that your husband had an affair, surely it must have hurt you. Was it very bad?
Have you ever had the feeling that your heart dropped to the bottom?
You felt that your heart dropped to the bottom?
Yes.
How did you pick it up?
I came to my senses.
And you moved on?
Of course.
Was it difficult to move on?
I'm very lucky to have Henry being there to help me move on.
Did he help you move on?
Yes.
He helped you move on. You helped Mrs. Lisa Tang, your wife Lisa Tang, move on.
Michael, Lisa and I have known each other since childhood. So we are very, very good friends on top of our relationship. So that's one of the reasons why we have come and grown so close together, because of our long time relationship.
You must have felt very bad yourself, inside of you. You must have said, I have a good marriage, why am I ruining it?
I felt that I've betrayed my wife by having an extramarital affair. I felt bad about it, and that's why we both wanted to mend the fences and picked up ourselves and move on.
Well, I hope you can do that. It seems like you have done that, and the people should know that perhaps you've done that. But I'm going to ask you this question. Having had an extramarital affair, I always think back to John F. Kennedy, President Clinton. I was working in the US when he had that. That did not make them bad leaders. In fact, they were very popular presidents in America. But people in Hong Kong feel that maybe because your judgment is bad, that would somehow affect your judgment as the chief executive of Hong Kong. Lisa Tang, is he that kind of a person? Can he separate things?
Oh yes. I think for most men, it's so easy to fall in love. And its feeling is so sweet. I'm sure, Michael, you know the feeling.
I'm not going to go into my married life or all I can say, I'm a divorced person, but I know what you mean.
You're able to persuade me in that 10 minutes.
It took me a lot of persuasion for you to come on this show. I'm glad you did. But you think he can lead? You think your husband, Mr. Henry Tang, can lead as the chief executive of Hong Kong?
Definitely.
Even though he did things that made your heart drop to the bottom.
He has the humility to say, I'm so sorry. He has the heart to help me and comfort me why he did it. So,
do you still go out with Henry Tang, your husband, and feel like when you first met each other, when you first got married, and the feeling that you had at the time? After so many years, do you still have that feeling now, the two of you?
Yes. I think everyone changed. And just around the corner, I discover new things about him.
You sit back and have a glass of wine and enjoy dinner quietly?
Michael, it's not every day and it's not a common affair where couples get a chance to face the public and to bear their personal lives in front of the public.
Which is what you had to do.
Which was what we had to do. But this whole experience, we Lisa and I, and our whole family emerged from it closer and more united than ever.
That's good to hear.
I think it is an experience not everybody would like to have, but this is an experience which we had. And the support, the closeness, the united support I got from my whole family made me deeply moved and touched.
Have you ever thought, as husband and wife, have you ever thought that you have renewed your marriage? You went through you went through hell. In fact, your public life was dragged under the open. Not many people can survive something like that. You have survived and you're much better for it, it seems to me. Have you ever thought about renewing your marriage vows?
It's when we took our marriage vows nearly 30 years ago, we have made a promise to stick with each other through thick and thin.
And you're doing that.
And we are actually really putting people's marriage vows to a test whether our marriage is strong enough, our relationship is strong enough to stand the test. And I have found that we have emerged from it stronger and closer than before. I am grateful for it. I am deeply touched by the support that has been shown by my family, and all my friends around me have rallied around me and gave me so much support and encouragement through all of this experience. And what really moved me was I have strangers who calls up, who email me,
and
who text me and support me, and saying that it's not every day that people have to go through these experiences.
Well, it might make you a stronger person, maybe a stronger leader, because you've gone through all of this. If you're elected chief executive, maybe you remember this as a lesson that makes you a stronger leader. Lisa Tang, I want to ask you this. Regina Yip, the legislative councillor, was on my show some time back when it first emerged about your extramarital affairs. And she said, as a woman, she could not forgive you, that women cannot forgive men who did that. Maybe that's not my view, but you did forgive your husband here. Would you think that women will find it hard to forgive husbands who are not faithful?
If they don't forgive, it's really sad, because the greatest love is to forgive and to forget. If you don't forgive, you'll be a very bitter person, and you live your whole life reflecting what went wrong. Why can't you live the life thinking about the best times you have together and move forward?
You're willing to do that now?
Well, forgiving him actually is saving myself from going
How is
down.
that? How do you save yourself by forgiving
Because
him?
if I don't forgive, then I have to remind myself how bad he is, how he betrayed me, how good I have been to him. Why did he do that? What for? Life is so short. And what he did is just, a small part of what he have given me, which is very, very, very vast and blissful. We have 4 lovely children, and they're all behind us.
How many children do you have? 4. Okay, and they're in school, they're grown up now?
My son is working now, and my 3 daughters are in school. Okay. And they all say, Mommy, it doesn't really care what happens with the election. As long as we are a family together, united, that's all we want. That's
very nice. I want to ask you this, that leads me to this question. I want to ask the both of you this, and that is, you said your public life was your private life was dragged out in public. Your kids, your 4 children, and your 3 girls said, it doesn't matter whether, Daddy becomes the chief executive of Hong Kong or not. You just want to be together, right, as a family. So why go through this? Why have your private life dragged out in public so you can become the chief executive of Hong Kong? It's nicer, maybe easier for you to say, forget it. Let somebody else run Hong Kong. You want to be a family and be happy. Why didn't you do that?
Michael, this whole campaign has been full of challenges. And throughout this campaign, it made me think why I wanted to be the chief executive.
Well, I think many people out there want to know why you want to be the chief executive.
From the beginning. And I have come to the conclusion that my resolve and my determination and my commitment to serve the public have been from day one when I joined public office, from day one when I was Legislative Council member back in 1991, has not changed. From 1991, I was in LegCo, 97, I joined EXCO, 2002, I have to sever myself from all my business, family business, which are not that small, and I have to sever myself.
Well, you're known as a successful and very wealthy person.
So I have to sever all my ties to my businesses and join government with the sole purpose of serving the people. Running this campaign made me revisit what my resolve was and made me more determined than ever that my original intention are still intact. I still feel that I have the ability, I have the experience, and I have the team necessary to run Hong Kong so that we will have a brighter future than today.
You know, you say that, and you know, I remember even in the presidential campaign now in the U.S., you've had candidates dropping out like Herman Cain and so on because of extramarital affairs and so on. And you know, your husband Henry Tang just said his desire to serve Hong Kong is strong, and even though his private life is dragged through in the public domain, he's still wanting to serve. Many people would have dropped out. And what does it say about your husband? That even though, you know, papers are spreading all different things about illegitimate children, about extramarital affairs, not just one, several, and an illegal basement in your home, when all these things are dragged out, your husband is still saying, I am going to soldier on. What does that tell you about him?
He is very courageous and he's very determined because he thinks, and I do believe, he has this compassion and the gentle heart to serve the people without any...
But wives would usually say to the husband, forget it, you know, let's just forget it, let's just move on. Have you ever told them that?
I like to share my husband for the people of Hong Kong because he's a good person. He's a good person, definitely. He's a good person. And a good person should share with the rest of Hong Kong.
Okay, you know, we'll pick that up in just a moment. Don't go away. See you soon.